My name is Santiago Ascanape, and on behalf of my company Onvoi, I am making this presentation to further clarify and simplify the comprehensive business strategy, product strategy, vision that I presented in the other videos available at onvoi.net. The key to this product is it's the interactive movie experience. And it's going to be a product line that's going to be made possible and is distinctive and excellent because we're going to do it via a console unit. It's a hardware console unit that's easily installed in the living room. And that console unit is going to facilitate a portal, an ecosystem for interactive content for purposes of at-home entertainment. Now, interactivity or interactive content is going to be, we aim to have wholesome, uplifting content, not specific just to family and children, which is going to be an area of focus, but regardless of genre, and we have some of the genres that we are planning to unveil later, regardless of genre, we want the content to be uplifting, and we want it to be positive, and we want it to be wholesome. So the console unit is going to be the key, we call it the Onvoi Entertainment System, OES. And that console unit is going to be the key strategic point of emphasis and focus that we are going to focus on if we are able to obtain the $30 million in venture capital that we are seeking. And we're reaching out to well-established venture capital and private equity groups in hopes of making this grand vision, this innovative vision, a practical and cost-effective reality. Now, the console unit ultimately has tremendous potential, and from an investment standpoint, the fact that ultimately this same console that can be revolutionary for at-home entertainment purposes, the upside to an investment in this interactivity portal or interactive content portal, the console unit, is that we hope and we think that eventually, ultimately, when the time is right, the same interactivity could be introduced in the movie theater setting, which would create new exciting streams of revenue for movie theaters and for studios and for content creators of interactive content. Because interactivity, both for at-home entertainment purposes and ultimately, hopefully, someday, the movie theater, interactivity is going to create a type of content, an entertainment medium, a content experience, an entertainment experience that is unique and truly valuable because through simple push the keypad device, the hardware that comes in addition with the console unit, by pushing that simple 2 push buttons, so user-friendly, and we have the prototype for that keypad device nice and developed, and we care a lot about style. We don't want it to be bland or boring. We want it to look good, be sleek, well-designed, and above all else, user-friendly and practical, easy for children and adults to use and to enjoy. So by simple pushing the top button or the bottom button on this keypad device, which is like a remote control, that's going to be unique and specific to the Onvoi Entertainment System, the OES. They're going to be able to guide the on-screen characters, the protagonists in stories, and beloved characters, kind of like in a choose-your-own-adventure type format. So that way the consumer, the viewer, has more say over the storytelling, has more power over how the story line, the plot emerges when he's watching that show or that movie, that interactive show. It's the interactive movie experience. And we're going to start with at-home entertainment, and eventually we hope to introduce interactivity in the movie theater setting. So stories become more enticing, more exciting, because the audiences are going to be more engaged in the content, because they're going to be able to guide the adventures of the on-screen characters by simple and sporadic um, uh, key opportunities within the stories where they get to guide the protagonist's adventures. Should the protagonist go to the supermarket, or should the protagonist go to the bank? Should the protagonist go to the fair? Should the protagonist go to the circus? And then the story unfolds and emerges in different ways, and then that entices multiple views of the interactive content. And that's going to have demographics of all types: children, adults, families, single people, everyone. It's going to entice them because the stories are going to end different, so they're going to want to watch it multiple times. They're going to see what alternative endings are possible. And eventually, the experience, the interactive content experience, is not going to be so passive and so boring. And it's not just, you're a mute sitting down and being indoctrinated by ideas that you may or may not necessarily agree with. So instead, you get more power over the storytelling, and you get to help guide the characters on the screen. Now, it's going to be a console unit. The Onvoi entertainment system is going to be the console. So why hardware? Because in order to distinguish Onvoi from the litany of other OTT streaming service platforms, first of all, there's two big distinguishing factors. Number one, first and foremost, is the interactive aspect, nature of the content. It's more simple than video games. It's more active, more hands-on than traditional passive content. And secondly, the ecosystems that where the streaming services are currently available, they become too clouded and too complicated. They lack user friendliness, and it's become convoluted. And now there's so many different streaming options. So many VC firms are pouring money into these streaming ventures, when in all reality, many times the content just isn't wholesome. The customers aren't rewarded with good values, and the consumer is not walking away with a positive, memorable, enjoyable experience. So there's too much money going into really expensive junk. And that's hurting the perception of media companies, entertainment companies, big and small. So the key to all of this is the vision of Onvoi is positivity, uplifting nature, wholesome nature to all the content, regardless if it's geared towards the children's market or not. So also, when it comes to a technology company, if you study historical market trends, hardware is a key indicator as far as the sustainability of a company long term. So we truly think that the recent trends in recent decades of dot-coms and apps, the application revolution, app this, app that, dot-com this, they really haven't been that great for investors. And they really haven't been that great for consumers, more importantly. So sometimes it's important to take a step back and say what's working and what's not. And we got to study current trends, recent trends, very old trends, and emerging trends and futuristic trends. And we got to get the best of all worlds to make sure that the customer is always prioritized, the consumer is prioritized and valued, and we give them entertainment experiences that are enjoyable and unforgettable and truly fantastic. So, for the $30 million that we hope to obtain from well-established VC and PE groups, we hope to be able to design, further design in terms of the specifications of the circuitry boards and the bus systems, like the motherboard, etc., the circuitry designed in detail so that we can create a keypad device, the hardware, the remote control, the 2 push button remote control, and the console unit, and have one functional, tested, ready to go, it works remote control keypad device and the OES. That's the OES, the keypad device, the remote control, and the console unit installed in the living room for at-home entertainment purposes. That is, we're going to have one OES, Onvoi entertainment system, functional, tested, ready to go. And in sync with the OES, a big part of it is the operating system, because we can talk about UI layout and digital solutions, which would more or less entail really complicated contract negotiations with TV set manufacturers, which we aim to have excellent relationships with TV set manufacturers. But we also can't be overly reliant on ecosystems that they've created. And it's not just the hardware fault, it's also some of the providers of the services. If it becomes too convoluted in terms of user friendliness, in terms of user interface, in terms of design and practicality, then the product has to stand out and be somewhat autonomous, so that the litany of other distractions and options, and it happens with smartphones too. If you watch content on a smartphone, you're getting text messages, you're getting emails. It's not the ideal environment to watch a show or a movie. So with the $30 million we hope to have, and it's very cost effective if you compare it to the billions upon billions of money that are being poured into supposedly emergent industries that are kind of nebulous and fuzzy and all over the place and not that practical from a numbers perspective, not that practical from a social utility perspective. So we really think this is practical, it's state of the art, it's innovative, and it's going to make a heck of a lot of sense for some well-established VC and PE groups to give us that Series A fund, that first round of seed capital, so that we can create the Onvoi entertainment system. We hope to be able to assemble it, if not entirely manufacture it, in the United States of America. We're contemplating some relationships with manufacturers in the southeastern United States, which we think will be conducive and practical in helping to make the manufacture in USA vision that Onvoi has a reality. We're also flexible if that can't work, and if it's not practical or pragmatic, then we're going to entertain other options. Either way, we're going to make sure that the quality comes first and foremost, and we don't want to compromise too much on design, but at the same time, we want to get it done. We want to make sure it works right, and that the consumer is ultimately thrilled with the interactive content experience and the interactive movie experience. Now, so the operating system and the keypad device and the console unit, that's the Onvoi entertainment system. When we get that done, and this is going to produce, we're going to hire people, and it's going to create more jobs, and it's going to be positive for everyone. And then later, when it comes to Series B, the second stage of the funding, then we can talk about whether we want to do content licensing arrangements with other studios, which we somewhat foresee complications because we don't know if they're going to be on board with the interactive content idea or not. We think when they take a look at this, they're going to be fascinated and very intrigued. We also question whether they could be doing it in a productive, streamlined, fast clip fashion. So by no means does Onvoi want or expect to rely on other studios for the content to be made. And as it's made clear in other videos available at onvoi.net, we do have a plethora of content brands that we plan to further develop, and we can use some of the old traditional content that we've created to make it interactive content. plug it into the interactive mold or model so that all the stuff that I did in the past does not go to waste and can be utilized, implemented in the interactive movie experience. So again, my name is Santiago Ascanape, and I'll put the contact information there at onvoi.net. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope to hear from some of these well-established VC and PE firms so that this modest $30 million investment can help change the landscape in technology and entertainment and create enriching and delightful experiences for consumers ultimately, and above all else, have a positive and tremendously uplifting effect on society. Thank you very much. I'm Santiago. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.